Hello, this is Coach Tim Campsall, and I'm excited to have Brian on the show today. Brian's going to share how, in the past, having too many balls in the air was affecting the business's growth and could no longer be ignored. He's also going to talk about creating a system to consistently generate leads as one of the things that must be solved in the next year to avoid pulling him back into the day to day. If you're a business owner feeling stuck, working harder and not growing smarter, then this podcast is for you. Brian owns Indiana Business Advisors. They help business owners plan for and successfully sell their businesses for maximum value. And something unexpected about Brian is that his alter ego has always wanted to be a college professor. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Great. Glad to be here. Thanks, Tim.
Well, hey, I'm excited to hear your story. So let's start with um, giving me a little insight. Most business owners, they start their business for freedom and flexibility, but they often lose it along the way. So, what problem was it that you were solving for or trying to escape from that brought you into starting your own business?
Well, that's a great question. So my first job out of college was with Indiana Bell. I was a computer programmer to start. I don't know why they hired me as a computer programmer, but they did. Working downtown in a suit, in downtown Indianapolis. But I found myself almost immediately trying to get into some sort of sales role
Uh-huh.
in Indiana Bell, and they really didn't have that type of role. So I started looking outside of Indiana Bell. I went to a local business brokerage, which coincidentally is I'm a partner in that firm today. But when I was like 25 years old, I went to look for a business. I was looking for maybe a career in maybe being a stockbroker, but I knew I wanted to do something where I was rewarded for my efforts
Hmm.
and just more freedom and get out in the world. So yeah,
Yeah.
I quit my job probably 5 years into it. Great job, and started my first business.
Fantastic. And starting a business does require a bit of a leap of faith. So, what specifically made you say, "Hey, I can do this," even though you probably didn't have it all figured out yet?
Boy, I don't know. I think it was just more motivation to do what I wanted to do than I never even thought. Could I not do it?
Uh-huh.
At the time, I never sold anything in my life, and the first business I was in was a direct mail marketing franchise, a marketing business. And I remember having to go out and cold call, and I had a trainer come down to spend a week with me, and made my first cold call,
Uh-huh.
and never done it before, and I knew I didn't do a good job of it. I think I got kicked out of the very first person I went in to speak to, Nora Bagel Shop in downtown Nora here. But I think most, it's just going out there. I don't know why or how we have it, but a lot of entrepreneurs just, they just make it happen and do it. And I think that was just sometimes good, sometimes bad. And as we get more experience, we learn to, I guess, plan more
Mm.
and think through it.
Yeah. Brian, we know success and having, building a successful business, at different stages of the growth, you can hit plateaus. And in your introduction, I mentioned that one of the challenges that was holding back your growth was too many balls in the air. So walk us back to that. What was happening in the business and when did you first realize that the things you were doing weren't working and what eventually made the difference for you?
Yeah, I think, so the current business today, Indiana Business Advisors and Sunbelt Business Brokers has been, I've been involved for 20 almost 25 years now. But when I started my entrepreneurial career, yeah, I think I shared at one point that, I read in The Art of the Deal that you always had, uh, always have a lot of deals going at one time because most of them will fall through. And I took that to the extreme. So I've always had, I was, one of the entrepreneurs that even though I was in a business and working a business, I was out trying to do something else at the same time, always trying to acquire more real estate, start another venture, and expand the business I was in.
Yeah.
And, I went through that process pretty much my whole professional career and was really good at stirring things up. And I think, there's two types of entrepreneurs in my experience that we come across: people that just have one business and they focus on it their entire lives or
Mhm.
for a long period of time. And the other entrepreneurs are very creative, and they have a mentality of always wanting to grow, expand,
Yeah.
shiny ball syndrome. And that was me. And I found myself throughout my career always, starting more businesses, acquiring another business.
Uh,
And now at this stage, where I am with Indiana Business Advisors and so forth, it's really trying to focus and get back to doing what we love,
yeah.
right? Doing what you're best at, and trying to just be better at, focusing
Mm.
and not have all the distractions.
Yeah. So back to that when you had those distractions, what did a normal or a typical week look like? Where were you spending your time and and what was it costing you personally?
It costs you, it costs, uh, man, peace of mind. Honestly, I think I felt like my head was always on a swivel. And so you'd start working on, within a business itself, you always have several projects, no matter what business you're in.
Sure.
You're maybe focused on HR, you're focusing on sales, you're focused on invoicing, you're focusing on whatever it might be within your business. And mine currently today, it's just, I think it's, we would see it a little more complex within the business. But if you have other things outside of that draw your attention, and in my case, it was other businesses, and it
Mhm.
was real estate, and of course, you
Right.
got your personal life, you got kids,
Yeah.
and so you always felt like you're trying to, you know, focus on one piece of the pie, and then you're always putting out fires.
Yeah.
And some people are better at it out the gate, and some people have to learn, and some people have to, figure it out
Yeah.
with help. And that's, how do you really prioritize? How do you organize your day? How do you, help your business grow? And that's something that I'm still learning, and
Yeah.
but that's certainly where my focus is today.
And similar vein, what assumption about running a business turned out to be wrong and cost you time and money?
Uh, Boy, that's a tough question. And I think it's not easy to make money. Some
Mm,
people maybe get lucky and make money. And the other one I think is revenue. Chasing revenue will fix everything,
mm,
and sometimes that does. Revenue does fix everything.
yeah.
But I remember one of my partners saying in one of the businesses we owned together was a video surveillance company, and they came from a private equity background, and they said, well, and we had a president that wanted to just keep growing the revenue.
Uh-huh.
And they said, let's learn to make money with the revenue we got before we try to triple the business. And
Yeah.
that was great advice. And so learning to structure the business, with good systems, good processes,
Yeah.
having a very defined, good game plan versus sell, and grow, was one of the lessons learned for me.
It's it's interesting as you explain that, how many folks believe that idea of the top line, but when you dig into the numbers and realize that, the things that they're selling are not profitable, right? But they're not necessarily aware of that because they're only focusing on the revenue growth. And when you break it down, they can actually shrink the company and improve their margins and be a lot healthier from a profitability standpoint by turning away some of those top line opportunities that they were losing money on.
Would you rather have a $10 million company making 100,000 a year, or a $4 million company making, $500,000 or $1 million, whatever it might be, right? So,
Yeah.
and peace of mind, a company that runs well, you're focused on the right things. You're not, in the day-to-day operations, and you're having a good time doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. That the time is so important, right? Because that's the only thing we can't get more of, right? We can make more money or we can have more margins, but we can't make more than 24 hours in a day.
No, and from a perspective of looking at businesses, and we help folks sell their business. what you're preaching and coaching on, helping someone get out of the, work their way so they have a simpler ownership life.
Yeah.
And the more an owner can work themselves out of the business and have a business that performs, the more valuable it is. It's going to be more valuable to someone else coming in. So, working your way toward a business that allows you to have the freedom
Yeah.
is lots of benefits to that.
Yeah. One of the biggest ahas I had when I first started this business was that point of, oh, a lot of business owners end up just shutting it down when they retire because their business isn't worth anything because nobody wants to buy them. Right.
Yeah. I
Right.
use the example sometimes, if you got two ditch digging businesses, they both make the same amount of money, but one guy's out digging ditches 60 hours a week, and the other the other person is sitting, at their desk and going on trips, and they have people selling and they have contracts. And obviously the second business is worth a ton more money,
Yes.
right? Same business, same profit. It's not all about profit. It's about how's the business structured and the continued the ability to continue with that with the owner not there.
Yes. Yeah. Because there's a big risk for a purchaser to buy a business that the only reason the business works is because the owner, right, is doing everything every day, right? That's a big risk for somebody else to take over and the owner leaves.
100%. And people buying a business, they want to work on the business. They don't want to work in the
Yeah.
business. So they want to take it to the next level, whether it's an institutional buyer, private equity group, strategic buyer, or an individual.
Yeah.
It's how do we take this business to the next level?
Absolutely. So in my book, I share how much success comes down to mindset and how, the same limiting beliefs show up for owners at different stages of growth. Um, what's been the hardest mindset shift that you've had to personally work through, Brian?
Uh, yeah, I guess in this business is I'm a practitioner in my own business, so I work with business owners to help them sell their business and coach myself, and would do valuation work and help them plan. And I enjoy that, and I will continue always to do that.
Yeah.
But it's being able to mind shift back to creating a business where we can, as a company, has helped me step back and do more coaching internally and have the processes in place for the company to grow. And so we can help more people.
Right.
And so we're in the midst of, and as we always are, on, how we can, help the company help more people,
Yeah.
as opposed to always me doing everything, at least in my micro world.
Yeah. It's hard to balance both, right? Of especially if when you're really good at the in the business stuff and right and you enjoy it and right being able to carve out the time and hold yourself accountable to the yeah, I have to work on the business too and right and
Yep.
make sure that right, that you're balancing both of those.
It's hard, yeah, and I think you find I see a lot of business owners. They like being out in the field.
Yeah.
They like doing. That's why they started the business in the first place,
Yeah.
right? And the knowledge base is inherently in them,
Yeah.
and being able to transfer that knowledge and back away, sometimes hard to do for a lot of business owners.
Yeah. One of the questions I ask folks is, when they say, "Well, but Tim, I love what I'm doing, and right, and I can't ever see myself not doing this." I ask them, "Well, God forbid, right? If something was to happen to you, right, and you can't work for 3 months, right, or 6 months, right, is the business to the place that you're still going to be able to get a paycheck?" Right. And usually the answer is no. And like, well, then there's a huge risk, right? You might as well just be an employee because at least you'll get, benefits from your employer. Right? And if you just want to do, there's just a significant risk of what if one day you can't?
No, that's true, and that's not always it's not horrible, right? You still have a great business, and you're probably hopefully you're making money and you're enjoying what you do. It's just if you're really looking forward to that potential exit one day, then you need to plan ahead for that,
Yeah.
right? And realize that if you're looking to exit and transfer, you have to have a plan, and you have to work to back yourself out of it so you can maximize that exit.
Yeah. And a lot of folks will say that, well, my retirement plan is selling of my business and
Right.
and not, not
It's
all.
not a matter. It's not an if. It's a when. Right. At some point, somebody's either going to sell it to their kids, give it to their kids. They're going to sell it to a third party. They're going to ESOP. They're going to do something at some point. Right. It's inevitable,
Yeah.
and just being prepared for it. I think the best advice I've heard from someone is always prepare like the exit could happen anytime. You never know what's going to happen in life,
Yes.
even if it's 20 years from now, whatever it might be.
Absolutely. Yeah. It
Yeah.
gives back that insurance policy, right? Of if
Right.
I have to, then I already have
Yeah.
it set up. Yeah.
Well, and if you think that way, you're going to build a more valuable business.
Yeah.
And so if you're thinking, well, I better get this thing ready, the financials need to be ready, the systems need to be in place, try to create some recurring revenue, whatever it might be.
Right.
It's getting yourself and your business position.
Yeah. Brian, when I introduced you, I shared that creating a system to consistently generate leads is one of the things that you want to solve in the next year. So if that doesn't get fixed, what's the cost of the business and why would that pull you back into the day to day?
Uh, so I guess in our business, uh, a lot of our business comes from referrals and referrals to the company, but also referrals to us individually. We have 18 folks in our office, and a lot of us are out there and in the communities, and we get good publicity and so forth. But to create growth and bring new people on and to reach out to more folks, we need to be able to consistently have a process to communicate to business owners,
Mm.
what we do.
Yeah.
And so you never know when the time is right for them to consider
Yeah.
thinking ahead, valuation services, whatever it might be, which we promote to everyone should understand the value of their business and be thinking ahead about an exit. And so letting them know who we are, what we do is, I think the industry itself is really progressed, but we need to be there at the right time. And so finding ways to have a consistent messaging platform.
Hmm.
And so we feel like we're always out there so people will know about us and they can reach out to us. It hasn't been easy for us. And so, and I think marketing changes,
Yes.
it's pay per click was huge at some point, email, uh, you know, seminar, whatever it might be. It seems like how you market changes. And so, yeah, we continue to trying to be better at, making, being able to communicate what we do and be there so we can do what we do best. And that's, help business owners. And so, yeah, that's our challenge because
Yeah.
we're very good at what we do.
Yeah.
It's being able to get out there and, find that opportunity or present that opportunity.
And you mentioned that, lots of has changed over the last few years with Google and AI and right how people find out about you and digital marketing. And so it's also right, it's a category where it's about when marketing meets a need. So having to be always on and right and
Yeah.
reaching out to people because you just never know when the person's in their mind going to go, yep, you know what, this is the year that I'm wanting to buy, and now I'm paying attention to right who's a partner to work with in order to sell my business.
Right. And what are the channel, how they do it? Are they hopefully they're talking to folks like you, which we love that, because someone comes to us already thought through the process.
Hmm.
Sometimes life happens,
Yeah.
life happens and they have to make choices and they have to be able to see us. And, with AI, that's, it's amazing. I'm learning, chat GPT, if I'm thinking about selling my business, who do I call? How does, learning all these different channels,
Yeah.
is hard to keep on top of.
The one thing about marketing is so prior to this, I was in marketing for about 20 years, and it can be frustrating because on the one hand, right, all marketing activities will work with enough time and energy and discipline and right and structure and follow up. But generally, right, we're also wanting something faster than maybe the channel will provide, and though we can get pulled into the shiny object, right? Or the latest and greatest, and spend some money on those things, and
Yes.
realize that they don't work. So that it's important. You mentioned system, right? So it's important that we're testing and measuring those different marketing strategies, and that we've got an eye on return on investment, and right, how much is it costing, and are we making money off of the leads that are coming in. The mistake I see so often is people spend money on marketing, and kind of just throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, and unfortunately something sticks, right? One of those things worked, but they don't know which one, so then they have to keep spending the same amount of money every month, because they don't have the clarity on what's the what's the thing that is working versus the thing that's not.
I think that's an excellent point. That's, I've been involved in marketing. My first job was, or my first business was, marketing. And I was very, very obviously young and narrowly focused on selling what I had. But, my experience with working with business owners talking about marketing is that very fact. They spaghetti market, right? They throw some spaghetti on the wall and hopefully something works.
Yeah.
And they don't have a good measuring approach, repeatable approach, and a system that works.
Yeah.
And that's not easy. And
No.
that's not easy. And so yeah, that's probably still one of our biggest challenges. We're better, but it's just getting better at that.
Looking back, Brian, over the years, what's been your biggest learning in terms of what leads to long-term success?
Um, for I guess everybody defines success differently. I think for me, it's peace of mind. Building a business or a practice that is creating a consistent a flow for yourself, or the business is working in a way where you're not having to be in the day to day. And the older you get, maybe some of us want to have a simpler life.
Yeah.
And so instead of go, 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 it's go with a purpose. All right.
Mm.
And that's, I think, for someone, at least for me, it was always go, go, go,
Yeah.
produce, grow the company, whatever you could possibly do venture wise, versus have a really defined purpose. What's your actual goal,
Yeah.
and have a good work life balance, and try to create something that can allow you the freedoms to do. I mean, the whole purpose, as we talked about in the very beginning, what was I trying to solve? I think freedom.
Yeah.
What's the definition of freedom? And I think your tendency to dig yourself a hole in your business because you're doing everything, and
Yeah.
whatever it might be,
Yeah.
is really trying to figure out how you can enjoy what you do, and provide a good service to your customers, but have a life that's fulfilling, and have the time, and eventually a great exit, right?
Yes. Ideally, yes. Brian, we know self-made is a myth, the whole premise of the show. Who are the three people that you wouldn't be here without them, and how did they help you along the way?
Sorry here. I wouldn't say. I think it's. I don't have people as much as I have experience. I think it was. I have and what I do for a living. I've always worked with other business owners, and my peers are other business owners. So being involved in groups like Young Entrepreneur Organization, where I was with 50 other business owners, and we had our own little board of directors, and getting input from and experience sharing
Yeah.
from other business owners. Me working with business owners and just seeing all the business owners come through our office, and seeing which ones are successful, which ones are struggling.
Right.
Um, and just I've been fortunate, I guess, to see businesses that do well, and being able to, I guess, learn from them. And so they're kind of my watching the ones that do the best.
Yeah.
Why are you doing so well? What have you done? And learning from them has really been the best eye opener for me. But yeah, I wouldn't have known if I hadn't had input from someone else. And again, I've been in a fortunate position to learn from other people who have own their own businesses and watch them succeed, and what are they doing? So learning from them has been my biggest
Yeah.
help.
Uh, so to build on that, when you felt stuck or overwhelmed, what belief about having to figure it out on your own kept you stuck versus, what changed once started to bring in those outside perspectives?
Well, I think that happens to me a lot. I have a situation that comes up, and I'm like, wow, who can I? I would like to. Who can I run this by? Who can I
Yeah.
get some feedback from?
Yeah.
So having a coach or somebody, a peer or somebody that's had that issue before is very, very helpful. As I shared. So I do have the ability to, I have, my firm. There's other firms that do what I do, and I have friends in the space. So I'm at least able to
Yeah.
call them up and I've and say, how did you handle this, or have you experienced this before? But not everybody has that, right? So having a coach or a peer to be able to experience, share,
Mhm.
provide insight, have an outsider looking in to help you solve a problem is invaluable.
Yeah. Does an example come to mind where something that you felt stuck within the business and then you had the opportunity to get that outside perspective and help you through it? Is there a specific example that comes to mind?
I think in our business, Indiana Business Advisors, Sunbelt, is we have a culture of bringing a new people in our firm who do what we do. Almost all of them own their own business,
Hmm.
and we created a practice within a practice culture here, which worked very well for us over the years. And we supported them in building their own practice within our practice. And I think when I was talking with one of our firms that do what we do, much larger firm that grew
Hmm.
and grew quite well. Their paradigm shift was to let brokers do what they and intermediaries do what they best, and that is working with the business owners. That people in our industry. I went to a sales conference, and what I heard was people expect salespeople, owners expect salespeople oftentimes to be Swiss Army knives to do everything, right? And sales people who are consultants, they're going to be good at certain things, but they can't
Yeah.
be good at everything.
Yeah.
We were expecting our people to be good at everything,
Mm.
and they aren't. So creating an infrastructure that allows our advisors to do what they do best and
Right.
take all these other things that they would have to do on a normal basis is going to help them help more people
Yeah.
and do what they do best. So I think what I learned is that, hey, we need to step up as a company and take some of that stuff off their plates so they can do what they do best.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the business within the business. So you're providing the infrastructure and the support for some of the supporting activities to be taken off of their plate so that they can excel in their role while the firm provides the backbone and the support and what's needed to help them be as successful as they can. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes. So there's two things that we needed to do, and one was which we've always done well at, is we have a great infrastructure to help the brokers and help the business owners, but for the advisors to be able to actually get the opportunities, they have their referral base,
Yeah.
but to provide them the introductions and take some of the marketing off their plates, because not everybody can do that. They're advisors and consultants,
Yes.
right? And they're
Yes.
not necessarily good at everything. Again, we expect people to be Swiss Army knives, and
Yeah.
so just being able to help them help others, because we're pretty good at what we do.
Yeah.
But again, we want to help more people.
Yeah. It's a common um, trait that I find with businesses that have either franchised or in your case, right, have business owners within the firm is that usually the people who created the business or the firm are unicorns, right? They're really good at doing both getting the business and providing the services. But as they expand, right, the people who end up coming into it aren't as good at both, right? And it leads to exactly what you're saying is right. Then there has to be a structure set up to if they're really good at providing the services, then somebody
Yeah.
else has to take the reins in terms of providing the leads.
I think you just hit the nail on the head for me. It's like I was actually a Swiss Army knife, right? When we started our business, we almost every business owner has to be they have to do a
Yes.
little bit of everything, right?
Yes.
And that's not for most people.
Yes.
And
Correct.
being able to narrow what you do and take some of the stuff off my plate and off everybody else's plate, I think is part of the whole process.
Yeah. Brian, it sounds like you've been blessed with some incredible people in your journey. If they were all here today, what would you want to say to them?
uh, Thanks for allowing me to learn from them, and thanks for sharing. And I think again, fellow entrepreneurs or fellow business owners, have a tendency, I think, to be pretty open and sharing. And again, that's probably been very beneficial to me. Was learn from the people I know that are in business and people from like you. So being able to experience, share, and learn from each other has been very, very good for me.
Awesome. Brian, it's been a pleasure chatting with you today. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, you bet, Tim. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Self-Made is a Myth show. Please help spread this movement by liking and subscribing to our show and following us on Facebook and LinkedIn. To join our movement, go to bemadtogether.com. Okay, folks, that's a wrap. Please pay it forward and be sure to tune in next time to the Self-Made is a Myth podcast.